Good evening, Dolphins fans. Welcome to another episode of On the FinSide with Kat and Paul. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, all of our social media outlets, the finfanatic.com website, and the Fansided Network. I'm Brian Cat NFL. Paul is fanatic_pick. The Dolphins have now lost the Who Gives a Crap Bowl 2 weeks in a row, losing today 30-28 to the Atlanta Falcons. It was at least an entertaining game. I mean, the Dolphins come out for the third time, Paul, in Tua's three starts and go right down the field. Long drive to start the game and march right down the field, put 7 on the board, and then things get hairy from there. It's field goal, stalled drive, missed field goal, turnover. Yeah, blocked field goal because the offensive linemen ducked their heads.
They were doing up down.
So then the Dolphins find themselves in the fourth quarter down 27-14. Tua Tagovailoa puts together 2 incredible touchdown drives. One was a touchdown to Mike Gesicki, and then the next drive, a touchdown to Mac Hollins in a play action. Beautiful passes, but also 2 embarrassing interceptions too. And what a shame that Tua goes 32 for 40, completes 80% of his passes, but is unable to protect the ball on 2 very important drives.
I'm going to say one thing, because rewatching some of the footage of one of the interceptions, I don't put that on Tua per se. I'm blanking on mediocre tight ends between Smythe and Shaheen. Whichever one it was there at the end zone, literally slowed down out of his break. And if he had run normal speed, there's no way the defender intercepts that ball. And the only option there is either catch for a touchdown or a dropped pass. But he completely, turned out of his break and didn't go.
Durham Smythe was the intended receiver on that first 2 interception. And he was sandwiched between 2 defenders, and it looks like could have been Durham Smythe's fault. But also in that situation, it's hard to rely on that receiver being at that certain spot at that time. And you've really got to thread the needle and put it in there. And at that time, you're probably better off looking for the single coverage instead of trying to sandwich it in between 2 defenders.
Not for nothing, but how good would the Dolphins have looked today in this game if we did what I was willing to do with the only player I was willing to draft over Micah Parsons and just stayed at 3 and took Kyle Pitts?
Gosh. So
let's go there.
Let's go there now. So Paul, and this is not a shot at Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is a good player. 8 catches, 88 yards today, which improves his yards per carry. We'll see.
Yeah, he had 7 for 83.
7 for 83. Looking around the NFL today, Kyle Pitts against the Dolphins was the reason that they won the game. Without Kyle Pitts, the Dolphins do not lose to the Falcons today. The Dolphins traded down from 3 to 6 or 3 to 12, back up to 6 for Jalen Waddle, giving up a first rounder to move from 12 to 6, as we know. And the Falcons stayed at 4 and took Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts had 119 yards last week against the Jets. Today had 9 catches for 173 yards, I believe. I need to get the box score up. Anyway,
163, I think.
163.
It was only 163. Don't give him 10 yards.
If you are Steve Ross, how do you not look at Chris Greer and say, how are you not accidentally right more often than this? I mean, Jamar Chase for the Bengals in a 41-17 game, a 41-17 win over the Ravens, had 9 catches for 201 yards. These were on both of our boards. By the 2 top pass catchers, the Dolphins traded down because the Dolphins are smarter than everybody. Remember, they traded down to 12, got the 2 first rounders, and then they spent a first rounder to trade up with the Eagles to get him. Again, they're just wrong about everything personnel wise.
Yeah, and my biggest thing is I really wish we could be a fly on the wall in the front office and find out who's truly making and forcing some of these calls. Is Ross forcing Greer's hand on some of these things? Is Greer basically saying, like, hey, I want Kyle Pitts, and you've got Flores pounding the table with his 8 offensive coordinators or whatever he's got at the moment and going like, no, get Jalen Waddle. Well, we can trade down and come back up and get him, and going, yes, amass that capital so we can get guys like Austin Jackson to be our uber athletic tackle that we need based on our scheme. Like, Austin, we don't need Pitts. You know, like Austin, it's...
And Austin Jackson, too, when you at left guard, he absolutely ruined 2 drives there in the second half. One of them, the Dolphins had a 3rd and 1. Very simple handoff, first down. Austin Jackson gets a 10-yard penalty. It's 3rd and 11. Dolphins don't convert it. Penalty. Punt it back. And then if you look at the second Tua interception and the interception by Foye from the Falcons, number 54. Look, he can't throw that either. That's an embarrassing pass. But watch the replay on that. Austin Jackson gets no punch on the defensive tackle, just guides him right into Tua Tagovailoa. And he was 100% the reason why that interception occurred. Tua still can't throw that pass. He's got to anticipate that. But I don't get it. Hey, let me ask you this. How many times did you hear the name Austin Ryder today, the center? 0 times. You know why? Because you're not supposed to hear the names of interior linemen if they do their job.
You're supposed to hear the names of linemen, period, unless they have a hellacious block.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, they promoted Cameron Tom today, who I know is a life.
Cam Tom, baby.
Cam Tom is a darling of
my guy.
Of tell me in what world Cam Tom is not better than Austin Jackson at guard. I mean, you name. I will gladly take a conditional 7th rounder in 2024 for Austin Jackson right now. Embarrassing. No Igbinoghene also inactive. And this goes back, Paul, to what we've been talking about too, is that, look, people can blanket blame Chris Greer, but to draft Austin Jackson and Noah Igbinoghene with how far they had to go as prospects, you have to have Brian Flores on board for that to happen.
You know, I'm going to pat us both on the back. Not just that. You have to have the buy-in from Flores' staff saying, like, what we see in this guy and his physical tool set, we can turn this guy into an all-pro. Bless me.
You're right. You okay?
I'm allergic to Austin Jackson is what it
Get it together.
Hey, you mentioned Austin Jackson, I started sneezing. I think there's a corroboration there. But, no, I mean, really, like, you have to have buy-in from your staff schematically as far as, like, this is the guy that fits what we want to do. We want to get our quarterbacks hurt, and he's the guy that can make it happen. The thing that disgusts me the most with Austin Jackson, and you see this more at guard than you did at tackle based on the way things go, is when he whiffs, not only does he whiff and let the guy by, he turns around and you see the back of his shirt while he's looking back going, oh man, I should have got that guy. That's him right there that I didn't get. Like, there's no question if it's his guy. There's no question because he's staring at him.
We keep talking about playing to the whistle. I mean, Austin Jackson, I mean, he doesn't even play halfway through the play. I mean, it's shocking. And a lot of great comments here in the chat, too, I'm looking at.
So two things I'm going to bring up there, and I'm going to go to my little 9U and 7U football kids. One, we tell our kids if you lose your block and he gets off you, go downfield and hit somebody else. It's not that hard. Like, and two, I was watching the game with Axe today, and he was talking about, he was joking around about how he's got a new thing he's going to do to make kids fall on their face and go, "Olé," and jump out of the way, joking around, knowing he was joking around. And I told him, if you do that in a game, I don't care that you're my kid. I will yank you.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
he's like, I wouldn't do it anyway. That's stupid. And we watch Austin Jackson do it every week.
it's shocking, and I don't see where they go from here. And in the chat, Elstoffer 122, would you prefer Jonathan Martin, Dallas Thomas, or Austin Jackson? Oof, man, I'd have to take Austin
Dallas
Jackson.
Thomas.
Ooh, okay.
At least he occasionally had a serviceable play, and he's not going to get the lineman around him fired.
And Drew from the chat too. That's my son's name, so I'm partial.
Sorry, my offensive coordinator's in our chat right now.
Says Matt Skura has been playing well for the Giants. Our team is clueless. A good observation.
If only somebody ever said that they love Skura.
And I'll tell you what, Jake Brendel is still with the 49ers.
That's who I was thinking of. I was thinking of Brendel. I don't like Skura.
Evan Brown is starting for the is it the Browns? I don't know, but I saw him play the other day, and he's doing a serviceable job. Grandizer says Cesar Ruiz at 18. He wanted a while ago. He's doing well. Ezra Cleveland is a player I liked. He also, Grandizer mentioned that.
And that terrible Jermaine Illuminor.
Like Josh Jones, Tyler Biotish. I mean, you just because
I would have taken Matt Pert over him.
Matt Pert started some games with the Giants. I mean, you name it. You name it over the last couple of years. They're better than Austin Jackson. They're better than Solomon Kinley. It's.
Ron, I've mentioned the owner, so don't bring that up in chat. I've emailed Steve Ross.
Liam Eichenberg played a pretty decent game today. I will say that. Robert Hunt was his usual solid self. He's not a problem. Jesse
Davis. Preston Williams at left guard because he sure ain't doing anything at receiver.
We'll get to him. And let's get to him now.
Yes.
Wide receiver.
Preston, go away.
Wide receiver. And Preston Williams highlighted today why when people say, "Oh, we need to get rid of Devontae Parker," like why? Because we have such high standards at the wide receiver position. You're going to take a 5th rounder and save a few $1 million, overtaking Devontae Parker for 10 games a year. Do you see the alternative? Preston Williams went out there and he wouldn't have played through traffic to save his life. I mean, I don't know.
Preston Williams, you don't even have to worry about the traffic. He was by himself today, and he dropped the pass 3 times on its way to the ground.
And Tua, I will say Tua could have put it in a better spot.
And then he squatted on it like it was an egg. Like maybe it would turn into a caught pass if he sat on it long enough.
But if you're 6'5", 220 pounds, and you're a contested catch guy or should be, that's what you do.
You need to make an uncontested catch.
And you better come down with it. You're not going to move in the slot and shake somebody out of their boots. It's not going to happen. Preston Williams, I don't see what they does. And
Mike Gesicki, why don't you throw to him until it's like I guess we have to now?
Well, no. See, they've thrown at Gesicki a lot over the last 3 weeks. I mean, last week he had 8 catches for 115 yards. Today he had 7 for 85 and a touchdown. But it was
only like when they had to. They're like forcing the ball to Shaheen and Smythe and all these other chuckleheads that should be spot duty players. That's my problem. And then like, oh shoot, it's 3rd down. We have to throw to him now.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Gesicki had At the end of the third quarter, he had 4 catches for 33 yards. So that's not enough. He should be on the field every single play. And I put out a tweet here on Saturday. Mike Gesicki this year, before this game, I'm not sure how many snaps he got in this game, but he was on the field for 64.5% of offensive snaps, meaning the Dolphins willingly take their best player off the field 1 out of every 3 plays. Geniuses.
Well, and here's my thing. If he's got 8 targets and 7 receptions, right? You obviously didn't throw at him enough if you've only got 1 incompletion when you're throwing his way. I want to see you throw at him enough, like the Falcons did with Pitts, that until you get to the point you have 4 or 5 incompletions when throwing his way, or you see them triple covering him on a play, he's such a mismatch weapon that you can throw at him in single coverage, definitely. You can throw at him in double coverage, definitely. Triple coverage, somebody else is a little too open, like maybe Preston Williams to drop a pass. But end of the day, you should be throwing at him and abusing him, especially if you're just going to end up having to franchise him anyway, because it's abusive the way that they don't utilize him.
Yeah, imagine if I had told a Falcons fan over the last couple of weeks who was upset with Kyle Pitts not being on the field enough. That's not a problem because Kyle Pitts is on the field every play for them. Imagine telling them, hey, Kyle Pitts is not a great blocker. So stop being upset that the Falcons only have him on the field 2 out of every 3 plays. Imagine he's not. He needs to emerge as a blocker. Give me a break. I mean, I mean.
Yeah, but Shaheen had that sweet little braided ponytail. So,
and I feel terrible for Jalen Waddle. I really do, because he's a talented player.
Misused.
But now he's going to be known as the guy where the Dolphins spend 2 top 6 picks on him. So what is likely to happen for the Dolphins and Chris Greer is that over 3 drafts, you spent 3 top 6 picks on the combination of Tua Tagovailoa to Jalen Waddle. And we haven't gotten into Noah Igbenogany and Austin Jackson yet.
Ooh, let's get into Noah. Let's get into Noah for 1 second. Because
there's nothing to get into. He didn't play.
No, not from today. But I will say I was pleasantly surprised with him last week. For a guy that's inactive every freaking week, I didn't love him, but he didn't look horrific either. And he didn't look like a player that should be inactive every week.
He exceeded my unbelievably low expectations.
That's a good way to phrase it.
Okay.
But for a guy that hasn't played, for him to get in there and have to be the guy.
I mean, you think he could return a kick, which Javon Holland can't do. He called for fair catches.
I liked his 1 punt return. I liked it.
There was one that was good. And then there were 2 where he called for a fair catch.
The best was the first one when Mac Hollins literally ran up to him and went,
yes. Don Sexy in chat asks, please answer my question. Why does Brian Flores still have a job? That's not a very creative question. Come on, Don Sexy, bring it.
Wait, no, I've got an answer
for him. Bring the hate.
Because Stephen Ross hasn't fired him yet.
Yeah, that's and plus, I'll say it again. There's no point to firing a coach in the middle of the season. I don't agree with that. I mean, I think the only reason you do is to humiliate the guy. I mean, that's it, and maybe he deserves it at this point. But
I don't know. See, I'm going to go to a baseball reference here. When Lou Piniella was coaching, I believe it was Tampa Bay. They were playing the Yankees one time, and it was a close game in about the 6th inning. And I won't bore you guys with a big baseball story, but
no, please don't.
But this is not really the baseball story, but it's the best coaching story ever. The relief pitcher came in and started just giving up long ball after long ball after long ball. And the pitching coach walked up to the phone and said, "You want me to get somebody up?" And you could read it clear as day. And Lou Piniella said, "If I've got to sit through this, SH, so does he." and left him on the mound until he could get 3 outs and said, "Screw it." Nope. And literally just sat there like this in the dugout waiting.
Was he the guy that always threw the bases?
Yep, that was Lou.
Okay, all right, yeah, I remember him. He coached the Mariners too. I remember that.
Yep. Yep. He had a little bit of a fiery temper.
Yeah,
Flores used to have too when people weren't.
See, the only good baseball games are ones where they're bench clearing brawls. Otherwise, God, just
or where like somebody throws half a broken bat at a pitcher, like.
My dad's a big baseball fan, and when I was in Colorado and we took a vacation together, I actually watched 9 innings of baseball. I think it was the Yankees and Red Sox in that wild card game.
Ooh, okay.
I was still bored. I fell asleep in the 7th inning. Ball 1, throw it back to the pitcher, foul ball. I mean, Jesus, like baseball sucks.
Any sport where the best games are the ones where the least happens isn't a good sport.
Yeah, baseball sucks. Moving along. Defensively, yeah, I mean, if not for Kyle Pitts, I think the Dolphins would have had a great day at the office here. I mean, Falcons scored 30 points. Pitts was 7 for 163. Russell Gage, 4 catches, 67 yards, but he had the 49-yard catch over Javon Holland. Look, Javon Holland, I think, is going to actually be a really good player.
I didn't have a problem with Javon Holland overall.
Oh, I did because he led up to 2 of the biggest defensive plays of the game. One of them was Russell Gage over the top, and he also had a sack, and you can see the talent there. But it goes back to defensively, the Dolphins creating holes where they don't exist. Bobby McCain, they cut. Kyle Van Noy, they cut. Shaq Lawson, they cut. And now defensively, they wonder why they can't get on the same page or have teeth on the front of their defense. They could have Bobby McCain at free safety and Javon Holland. They're playing 30 snaps a game and making plays, blitzing off the edge like we saw in that big sack against Matt Ryan. But no, Dolphins are smarter than everybody. So now the Dolphins have one of the worst defenses in the league. And by the way,
if you remember how – wait, I got to jump in on that real quick.
Go ahead.
Do you – the amount of hatred I got in our chat last year for talking about what Bobby McCain truly meant to this defense, I hope some of y'all see right now what I was talking about.
Well, I mean, how many touchdowns did Bobby McCain have go over his head last year? None.
I think there was 1.
Yeah, there was against Buffalo. That was John Brown. I remember that. Other than that, no. He did a great job, and he's playing well for Washington right now at the safety spot. And that's why you don't cut players over a couple of $1 million. So,
I treat Bobby McCain like an ex's Facebook page. I won't look and see how he's doing. Period.
That's fair. Yeah. And by the way, if you're Xavier Howard has got 3rd interception today and put the Dolphins back in the game.
For a second.
Yeah. I mean, it was
the next play they threw it back, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Because Xavier Howard got that interception, then there was that Austin Jackson whiff, then
Tua shouldn't have thrown that ball. Tua should not have thrown that ball.
Correct, and Austin Jackson should have gotten in the way of the defensive tackle in front of him. Two things can always be true at once. If you're Xavier Howard, how do you not look around and say, how did you not fix anything over the last 3 years defensively? How? It's a little harsh because Byron Jones, look, he's not going to make a lot of plays. He's still a solid player. Maybe this year we can say he's not making the amount of money on his contract, and he may not be around for long either. I mean, some of these guys Xavier Howard's going to be 29 next year. Byron Jones is going to be 30. I mean, some of these guys are going to end up getting axed, which means the Dolphins can take a lot of their money and spend them on fifth tight ends and third running backs and backup quarterbacks again.
Oh, Don Sexy, which question are you talking about? Can we grow up and answer in chat? Let us know.
Grow up. What? Hey, what? Hey, why don't you speak in complete sentences?
Yeah, put your question in chat.
This is not.
I will watch for it.
This is not a Best Buy customer service line. Get lost.
Oh, and by the way, I told you it was possible against the secondary. If freaking Smythe finished his route, Tua would have had the 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, see, Down Sexy also said Tua had 4 touchdowns. Yeah, he had 2 interceptions too, and the Dolphins lost the game.
Retype your question.
No. I don't want him to.
I want him to. Let's have some fun with this.
Cap for Life said, "What changes first, the front office, coaches, or quarterback?"
Somewhere on the coaching staff.
To me, the GM and the coach go hand in hand.
They should.
That's and when it comes to Tua's on a rookie contract. So unless there is something with a Deshaun Watson trade, then I don't see Tua just leaving. And you look at this 2022 draft class, it's been a major disappointment in the college football season, to the point where there may not be. I mean, I think there might be a quarterback or 2 drafted in the first 2 rounds, or in the first round, but other than that, no.
All right, so real quick, Kat, I'm going to answer Don Sexy's question, because he could go back and watch our videos and listen to our podcast, but why would he do that? Just ask the question. Yes, we do think Gaskin should be the featured back. Not a workhorse back, but a featured back. Savon Ahmed should be utilized in a role. Malcolm Brown, I'll defer to you on that one, Kat. But yes, Gaskin should be the primary back, as anybody that watches football other than Brian Flores can see.
Gaskin played well today. Had, 15 carries for, let me get the stat line here, 15 carries, 67 yards. I don't like how they get predictable with handing the ball to him in the pistol that often. But no, I think they did stick with the run a little bit longer. Overall, when you take a look at the Dolphins at running back, 25 carries for 103 yards today. Pretty good. I mean, their best day running the football, no doubt about that. I still don't forgive Myles Gaskin for last week against the Jaguars, where, in my opinion, he had the worst game ever from a Miami Dolphins running back. And if the Dolphins had a grown man at running back in that game, they would have won. But I digress. Preston Williams, 1 catch for 5 yards. Isaiah Ford. I mean, look, there's nothing.
Dude, the Ford came out of the garage.
The first drive of the game, Isaiah Ford. What more can you say? When Isaiah Ford caught that touchdown in the first drive of the game, I said the Dolphins are going to lose. I was like, and I
predicted, they featured Isaiah Ford before Mike Gesicki in this one.
Yeah. I'm fine with how they used Gesicki in this game. My point is he needs to never leave the field.
I'm fine with how they used him when they did.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the grades here quickly. Tua, 32 for 40.
4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns. And I predicted that he would throw for 375 yards and 4 touchdowns. And I don't make homer predictions, as everybody listening to the show should know. 291 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But I can't forget here that after the first drive, the Dolphins repeatedly stalled on offense, and those 2 interceptions, they were bad. I mean, they were bad there, and the Dolphins ended up losing the game for that. But they also put up 28 points on the board, and yet you can't ignore that. Everyone was writing the Dolphins off in the fourth quarter, and Tua had 2 very long touchdown drives too, requiring beautiful throws, beautiful touchdowns to Mike Gesicki as well as to Mac Holland. So this is a game where if the Dolphins had won 28-27, I'd be giving Tua a B+. but because they lost, I'm gonna go. I think third time in a row for him, B minus.
Well, win or lose, to me, Tua wasn't the issue. I think that, yeah, Don, we've already answered a couple of your questions. You're good.
Yeah, shut up.
It's, I don't put this loss on Tua, just like I don't put last week's loss on Tua. I feel like only if Smythe ran a route or, you threw it to Gesicki instead, that was a touchdown there, and it wasn't. It wound up being an interception that was pretty brutal. I can give him that B plus that you won't. He played well and he wasn't the reason today. This is 2 solid weeks from Tua in a row amidst this Deshaun Watson nonsense. B plus for me.
And Tua is still the player I'm rooting on for the rest of the year. Yeah, I mean, to me we have no other choice here at the quarterback position. At running back, I laid down the stat line, Paul, and I'll throw it to you first. 25 for 103 yards out of the running back position. Yeah, go with it.
Not only that, I know Ahmed had 2 catches in this one. I don't think Gaskins got featured enough in the receiving game. He did have a receiving touchdown, though. I can go with a solid B here. I think they got utilized better today than they have in previous weeks. But again, you don't come out of the tunnel with Malcolm Brown in the backfield.
I agree with you. Wide receiver and tight end. No Devontae Parker. Will Fuller should come back next week. I'm not really sure if it'll matter at this point. Mike Gesicki, if the Dolphins don't re-sign him or franchise tag him, I just don't know what to tell anybody at this point. And I do think that they will, regardless of who's here. They've got the money. They see that he's a star. They've got to see that he's a star at this point. Jalen Waddle's a great separation on every route. I mean, you look at that RPO slant that they have. I mean, with Tua, which isn't my favorite play, but it's working for him. And Jalen Waddle is, inside, outside, he's getting open. I just feel bad for the guy that he's going to be known as the guy taking over Kyle Pitts and over Jamar Chase, given that the Dolphins traded down. But, the Dolphins put up 27 points offensively on the board. That's a good day. And the receivers had a lot to do with that. I'm going to go B plus.
I'm going to, if I wish I could compartmentalize portions of this. Mac Hollins is criminally underused at this point. Preston Williams deserves an incomplete or an F. Albert Wilson can't sniff the field. Jalen Waddle is being misused, and Mike Gesicki is being misused, as are Smythe and Shaheen. Smythe and Shaheen are being overutilized. Gesicki's being underutilized, and I agree with you that RPO sneaky bit that they do with Waddle is nice and all. He's one of the leading receivers in receptions from the rookie class this year because they throw so short that he gets the opportunity to catch way too many balls a game for a home run threat like he is. But, I mean, end of the day, 4 passing touchdowns, 3 to the wide receiver and tight end group. I'll go with a B here, but I feel like there's just some catastrophes going on as well to match up with that.
Yeah, and part of that is, look, Durham Smythe's a free agent after the year. I think he's going to get more money than a lot of people expect. And I think he's a pretty solid player. I really do. But he can't be the reason you keep Gesicki off the field. He can't be somebody that's going deep on routes when Gesicki and Waddle are not. And I think we can all agree on that. Offensive line, I'm going to go back to my fetish with arm length when it comes to Liam Eichenberg. When you look at last week, he goes up against Josh Allen and he gets absolutely mauled. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. When I rewatched the game, it was tough to watch. This week, and I've got to rewatch it too. On Eichenberg. I thought he did a good job today, and he had a holding call that was actually taken back. I think it should have stuck, but um, when he's not playing a long, lengthy defensive end, then I think he's a good left tackle. I really do. And the question becomes moving forward: do you want to deal with that? Where hey, 2 or 3 times a year when he faces a big long athlete, he's going to have a problem when it comes to that and when it comes to the defensive end's reach in that situation. But I think he did a good job today. I think obviously Robert Hunt is his usual solid self. Jesse Davis had a good game, I thought, shockingly, but I don't think that's anything to get excited about because the Falcons defensive ends are terrible. And next week against the Bills, I think we're going to see the old Jesse Davis return. So offensive line, I'm going to give my best grade of the year. I'm going to give him a B. Oh, excuse me. Austin Jackson drags the grade down, possibly from a B plus or A minus to a. I'm going to go with a B minus instead, because Austin Jackson should not see the field.
Yeah, I'm going to drag it down to a C plus. Robert Hunt, I thought had a good day, but he had some criminally bad moments, which I expect from him at guard because he is a better tackle than a guard. But Austin Jackson just, oof. I mean, and that's with Austin Jackson having one of those plays that I love today when he led a play out into the flat and just annihilated some small defensive back out in the flat. Apparently, Austin Jackson's a better blocker in the open field than he is anywhere on the O-line. So maybe split him out wide and send him out on a couple pass routes.
Yeah, we've got some testy people in chats demanding we answer questions. Listen,
Don Sexy's about to get a timeout.
Listen, I don't know how many Arby's representatives you've yelled at 11 p.m., but we are not that. Okay.
Shake money, you're the man. he put Don Sexy in timeout for us. Love you, Shake.
Well, thanks. We appreciate that. And look, be respectful, ask good questions, and we'll try to answer them. Yeah.
Don, define what a hammer show is, because I don't know what that is. So,
don't know. Let's move on to the defensive side of the ball here, and I got to say, look, I think Jalen Phillips is a really good player. I still love that pick. He's been invisible the last 2 games. Let's be honest. And
I watched him miss a few plays today. He was very visible.
Really? Okay. Maybe I need to rewatch that. I didn't see any. Definitely not enough pressure on Matt Ryan, but he was going up against Jake Matthews, a very good left tackle. But he's going to face very good left tackles here moving forward, and he's going to do that throughout his career. He's got a lot of things he's got to figure out. Emmanuel Ogbah had some pressures today on the quarterback. I still say along the edges, not good enough. Not good enough as far as pass rush. And I think that also had a lot to do with why Matt Ryan was so successful today. And really no pressure on the interior. And that surprised me. With Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, and Raquan Davis, not enough pressure.
I didn't see Zach Sealer today.
It's pretty hard to see him because the Dolphins only play him. He's like the Mike Gesicki of the defense, except worse. I mean, he's playing. I don't know what the snap count was, but I'll guarantee he played less than 50% of snaps today. And I don't see why. I mean, he's a solid player. Matt Ryan goes 25 for 40, 336 yards, 2 touchdowns and interception. A lot of that did have to do not only with Kyle Pitts, but the amount of time that he had to throw. And as far as running, Falcons 18 carries for 70 yards on the ground among their running backs. 19 carries for 72 yards between Cordarrelle Patterson, Mike Davis, and Wayne Gallman. Run defense has been pretty okay the last couple of weeks here now, but not enough heat. Yeah, I'm going to go with a C minus for the defensive line.
Are we doing defensive line or front 7 here?
Let's do defensive line here.
All right. I didn't love our D-line play today. I mean, there were some moments that I did like. Oh, Zach Sealer had 3 tackles and an assist today. Interesting. I thought Agba had a good game, even though it didn't show up in the stat sheet. Raquan Davis had probably the worst game I've seen him have as a pro in this one. I thought Christian Wilkins played okay, and whether you count Van Ginkel as a D end or an outside linebacker, he had some moments that were close to game-breaking plays in this one. And so for me, I can go with a B- for the D line here. I thought they put more pressure than some folks did, although that was a creative use of both them and the rest of the front seven. But especially given some of the injuries to the linebacking core today, I can't put it all in the D line here.
Uncle Ron asked in chat, how many more years without a playoff win do you give?
Oh, he's been asking that for a while.
Well, Steve Ross owns the team. Like you can't. I mean, that's how this works. Like, I can't.
Thank you. Actually, Grandizer answered him perfectly. Ross gives us it. We don't give it to him.
That's exactly right.
I love that.
Yeah, and Grandizer also said Ogba is so gone in free agency, and that's going to be interesting. Because, look, Ogba's not a promising 25-year-old defensive end anymore. He's if he hits free agency, he's going to be 28. Are you going to pay him into his 30s? At this point, I've got to say no. I mean, because if you do, he's probably going to get you're probably going to have to pay him 10 to 12 million a year. I'm not there with him on that. And it's more of a money thing as far as, he's a good player. He's a solid player, but I probably wouldn't dish that out. So
Marcus is the man, by the way.
Thanks, Marcus. Appreciate the contribution there. Linebacker Jerome Baker leaves the game here in the second quarter. Sam Eguavoen gets a lot of snaps. Landon Roberts plays a lot of middle linebacker, and I thought he was just awful. And I can't watch him play linebacker anymore for the Dolphins.
Well, Duke Riley saw an insane number of snaps there. It felt like he saw more than Eguavoen did.
I was probably drunk at that point, so I've got
he didn't do anything.
That.
So it's like I'm pretty sure I saw Landon Roberts walk up to him a couple of times and go, "Dude, you gonna be out here, or should we just it's Christian Wilkins the linebacker?"
Look, it's if Landon Roberts is not making game-changing plays, which he hasn't been over the last few weeks, he's a liability. We've talked about that. I mean. And Jerome Baker, look, 6'1", 215 pounds, got a big extension. He, to me, has been the single biggest disappointment of this Miami Dolphins team, and that is saying a lot here this year. I don't know what to do with the guy moving forward.
I like Jerome Baker. I'm not going to totally fault him. I've stopped. So my kid plays inside linebacker and middle linebacker. And if I watched last season, I would absolutely have my kid watch Jerome Baker. But I can't tell my kid to watch middle linebacker and watch Jerome Baker because half the time he's not lined up in anywhere a middle linebacker should be.
He needs to be blitzing often for him to justify his value. And you need to be using him unpredictably. The Dolphins don't. You see the way Deion Jones played for the Falcons today? That's how you should use him. Blitzing a lot, dropping back, faking blitzing and dropping back. Not just standing there as a dead duck waiting to get injured, which he did today. So overall, linebackers, I hate this unit. I absolutely hate this unit.
I hate Landon Roberts.
D.
I don't hate Jerome Baker. I hate Duke Riley. There's a few, but I'll throw down a D+ there, only because I'm counting Van Ginkel a little bit as a linebacker too.
Yeah, if Van Ginkel, I thought, played one of his best games of the year. So, and he's the one that's really hard to judge because is he an off-ball linebacker or is he an edge player? So, Don Sexy asked if Tua is a franchise quarterback. Come on, read the room, bro. I mean, let's we've passed that. We've been talking about that all along.
Wait, hold on.
But let me ask you a question. Not yet.
This is the best comment so far. Oh, from Uncle Ron. My kids shout, "Turn it off. Watch Bob the Builder," when the game's on, and he says, "I don't blame him."
You got a smart kid there, man. Defensive backs. I always say that when the quarterback throws for 330 yards, I can't give him anything higher than a C plus, and that's what I'm going to give the defensive backs. Xavier Howard gets an interception. Should have been a game-changing play. Byron Jones, I thought, did well. I mean, look, if you Kyle Pitts had 7 catches for 163 yards. Russell Gage was second receiving with 4 catches for 67 yards, but 49 of them were on one play over the top of Javon Holland's head. You take that out, he only has 3 catches for 18 yards. So, God, Kyle Pitts absolutely won this game for the Falcons. That makes me sick, and it probably makes you more sick.
I wish we had realized that Kyle Pitts was such a game-breaking talent leading up to the draft and said we wanted him, and if only...
Yeah, I wish.
I mean, you know who else had a good game in this one other than when Gesicki just made a Gesicki-like play? Richie Grant.
He was pretty good, yeah. He was solid.
He had perfect coverage on Gesicki. Gesicki just beat him.
He knew it was... Looked like he knew what was going on out there. He'll never be the fastest guy, but very, very aware. No doubt about that. Yeah. So defensive backs, I'm going to break my own rule. I'm going to go with a B- for them.
I'm going to go with a B here. I mean, a sack, an interception. Kyle Pitts did beat up on people, but let's face it, Kyle Pitts beats up on everybody right now. It featured less Justin Coleman than usual, so I was okay with that.
That's true. Not a lot of Justin Coleman in this game. In fact, a lot more Jason McCourty. And McCourty's somebody that's not going to kill you out there. He actually was really slow getting to Pitts on one long catch. It was a 26-yard catch. That put the Falcons at midfield. I remember that. I can't remember exactly in what sequence of the game it was, but just 4 catches for 26 yards and a touchdown from Calvin Ridley. I mean, and that was a play where Matt Ryan was running around for 10 seconds and finally found him. So it's hard to hold the coverage for that long. So,
yeah. And I will say too, Grandy's got a great point in chat that it did feel like Eric Rowe had better chemistry with McCain back there than he's got right now. Yeah.
Rowe doesn't have a lot of value at this point, to be honest with you. I mean, coming up on 30 years old, the Dolphins have clearly put he and McCourty on the back shelf and looking for more out of Javon Holland and Brandon Jones moving forward here. But Javon Holland also didn't have a good game here. I mean, he was responsible for not being quick enough on that final drive where Kyle Pitts got deep on Xavier Howard, and he had over the top responsibility, didn't get there. And also too, when it was 13-7, play action and Russell Gage gets over the top of Javon Holland. I think Holland's a good player. I attribute that to a rookie mistake, but still, this is why it's really iffy to have a free safety as your last line of defense. And we saw that here today, unfortunately. And I want you all to know in chat too, and listening here, you don't deserve what you've been seeing here. You really don't. It's sad. I mean, the Dolphins have gone 42 straight days without a win. They're going to get absolutely crushed by Buffalo next week. And by the time they possibly win their next game, hopefully it's going to be 56 days without a win, because they play the Texans in 2 weeks. And I don't even know for sure that they're going to beat the Texans, to be quite honest with you. I mean, Tyrod Taylor.
I blocked out that it's Bills week.
Yeah, it's good. What do you think the point spread's going to be?
Not enough.
I'm going to say, if I had to throw a number, I'd say 17.5.
I'm going to say it's going to be north of 20.
Maybe. Ugh, damn. Again, y'all don't deserve this. We're going to stay here with you. Special teams.
You go first.
Well, I think it's sad that Jalen Wallace is not returning punts. Javon Holland is. Yes, he did have a nice punt return, but he also waived 2 fair catches when nobody was around him for 20 yards. That's not good enough. Again, rookie mistake. I mean, I don't know. C+.
The 2 fair catches that shouldn't have been fair caught, to the point where Mac Hollins even looked at him and went, dude, like, if there was a kickoff in this game that, if it hadn't barely grazed the line, really could have put Miami over the top on special teams grade with all the other stuff today. If it had just touched the line and bounced back into play, that would have been a Dolphins touchdown on special teams, and we'd be singing a whole different song right now. Pilardi was okay. The return game wasn't great. The field goal unit just doing up downs instead of blocking really drags us down, because that field goal would have been huge at the end. The Falcons would have had to try to punch it in the end zone, and maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't have. We'll never know. I'm going to go with a C- here for special teams. There were some moments, but not good enough.
Yep. Well, Paul, we did it. We made it through this show. The Dolphins have lost 6 in a row. Just want to throw up. I mean, I don't know, and we'll see if we have news this week with Deshaun Watson. I don't know.
Guys, click like and subscribe for us, by the way.
Click like and subscribe. We're going to be here for you.
Yeah, stay here with us. We're going to have some fun, even if, the games aren't.
Well, look.
I can't wait for MetLife Takeover. There's still tickets. There's still tickets.
Today was fun. Today was fun. I'm just pissed off.
Come go to MetLife Takeover. They've still got tickets left. Come hang out with me and Igor and Michelle.
Absolutely. They're the best people to tailgate and hang out with, and they do great things within the Dolphins community. Paul, anything else you want to throw out there today?
I'm just looking at guys that, and I'll take Burrow out of the equation because it would have been a stretch, but I'm looking at guys I would have drafted in the spots that they were available, and I would have had some whiffs, but damn it, we'd have a great team right now that we could misuse as we do with our normal players anyway. So, God,
if there were just a few picks that were different, and really I'm just looking at, I don't even want to get into it. I mean, if you look at Herbert over Tua, if that were to happen, you look at and by the way, if Brian Catanzaro were general manager, we would have Penei Sewell at left tackle and Tristan Wirfs at right tackle on a trade up. Okay. And I don't expect a GM to nail every pick, but you've got to hit some of them. Some of them you've got to hit. And the Dolphins, unfortunately, right now, as we sit here at 1-6, have hit basically 0 of them. That's going to do it for our breakdown of the Dolphins.
Look at you ending it on sunshine and roses.
Dolphins-Falcons matchup. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all of our social media outlets, the finfanatic.com website, the FanSide network. And if it is not on the right side and it's not on the left side,